Welcome to the Raptors Show on the Sportsnet Radio Network. Make sure you find the Raptors Show wherever you listen to podcasts and subscribe, and please rate and review our show. Reminder, we're streaming live on Sportsnet's YouTube channel and airing live on Sportsnet 360 Monday to Friday from 2 to 3 p.m. And I'm your host, William Liu, and I'm joined in the studio in the first segment by Jason Jackson. How you doing?
I'm magnificent. It's great to be here. The weather's lovely. Usually,
is it? You're coming from Miami, man.
From what I expected.
Okay.
There was a wintry mix anticipated upon landing. This is beautiful hoodie weather. I'm from Ohio originally, so this isn't rough. I mean, there's sunshine out.
I know. Yeah, I was gonna say
spring has sprung. The grass is riz. I wonder where Amy Audibert is.
Oh wow, what an intro! And of course, Amy Audibert back home. What's going on, Amy? Welcome back.
This is it. This is it. Thanks for having me. It's great to see you guys.
Go Canes.
Yes, it is the time. You know.
For people who don't know, can you please fill them in? Why are you wearing the jacket?
Well, I played there, and our men are in the Final Four. Our women fought really tough to the Elite Eight, and FAU in South Florida in the Final Four. I mean, hoops is just on fire in South Florida right now. So, this was the only coat I brought down to Miami when I made the last minute move.
We don't need them often.
So,
hey, all right.
So it was like perfect timing, right?
Yeah.
Came up, need the winter coat, and I'm always a cane, but this week is like,
Of course, and they got the name on the jacket too.
Yeah, this is our senior gift, which I guess they're still doing. So if you play sports your senior year, this is what you get.
Yeah, I wouldn't know about that, but
listen, I got cut at a walk-on for baseball at Bowling Green State University in 1990. The same head coach, same manager for baseball for like 30 years. And Danny Schmidt, every time I would go back to Bowling Green, I'd still be hot. I mean, I did not deserve a spot.
Oh, okay.
And he was a brand new head coach. I wasn't even like a preferred walk-on. I just played baseball through high school. And so, we were talking about on the flight up that we should have. It was called a letterman's jacket, I guess. Letter people's jacket, now letter persons. Letterer's jacket. What are we going to go with?
I didn't realize the jackets also fell under this, but I guess you're right.
It happens. It happens.
Yeah.
So a letterer's jacket.
Right.
Which Amy's against all of this.
Keep me out of it, man.
Yeah.
Stand on guard for thee. We all do it now.
Well, okay. Well, listen, Amy, obviously, everyone here knows who you are. How's it been? How's the season been in Miami? We caught up with you earlier in the season as well, but how you doing? I think a lot of the longtime listeners of the program understand that you were on all the time. So
no, it's been 52 clutch games with Jax and Will, my other partner. It's been incredible. It's been awesome. I think that the league is in such a great place in terms of parity and competing every night, and we're in for the finish of. I mean, in recent history, come on, when's it come down like this, right? Where so many teams have the opportunity to get into that play, and so it's been fun. And here we are, which is just, it's always a big, I guess, blur, right? Is it fair to say that, Jax? Like every season, you just kind of go like,
there's
the end of the regular season.
layers to every season. There's, pardon me, the first 20 where you're all fired up, figuring out what your team's about. The next 20 is kind of ambiguous. Then that third 20, that's hell.
Yes.
Like you're just trying to power through to get to the last 20, which is a sprint. And so we're in that period now.
Yeah. Well, I tried to make it about Amy. Amy's
tried.
Amy's too humble. She
tried for like 10 seconds.
How
it's all about hoop.
No, I've had a great time.
Yeah.
I've been saying this to myself a lot last year and this year. I'm so thankful with the two teams that I've been fortunate to cover in terms of just the people I work with, but also just the coaches, the players. It's again been an awesome experience this year, and I still think we got a little bit of push left. So,
no, you guys are doing great, relatively, I think, to as compared to Toronto. Although Toronto is also playing a lot better of late, especially at home. All right, Jason, I'll ask you this.
Sure.
What's one thing that's gone really right for the Miami Heat this year, and what's one thing that's gone really wrong for Miami this year?
Well, being able to persevere through all of that anxiety of games that go down to the last 5 minutes.
Right.
You're within 5. Amy counts it each night. She's counting down. It's like 5, 4, 3. Clutch game. It's like, oh, my goodness. We've created like almost a disorder.
Right.
For our skilled observers and fan base. But being able to win more of those games than you lose, that's next level. This has not been the best shooting team, and it's the worst offense in the league.
All right.
And so that's just strange because I know in Coach Bolster's dreams that this was a high-octane offense and a smothering defense, and there would be a much more winning, even though there's more winning than losing, but more winning, and not sitting here tap dancing around the drama of the play-in.
Right.
So here we are with 7 games left, tied with Brooklyn, but they have the tiebreaker, and for the 6th seed to come out of the play-in, and was it 2.5 games behind New York, who we play tomorrow, in the self-proclaimed world's most famous arena.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Is that beef still going on, by the way?
Oh, it'll never end.
Oh, no, never
it'll
end.
Never end.
Good.
The day Pat faxed the resignation in,
right,
and showed up in paradise until the end of time.
I mean,
and then when Jules, not Amy's mother who's watching.
Okay. Hello, Jules.
Exactly. That's what I call her. I don't think everybody calls her Jules, but now you do well.
That's fine.
So when Jules Randle decided to hit that shot on us in the right corner, the nerve, by the way, that's Ray Allen's spot, by the way. But anyway, so he's floating out of bounds.
Yeah, I remember that play.
Turns and looks at the Don Perignon, Pat Riley. The finest capologist in the game, our general manager.
I don't think
Andy
anyone
Ellisberg.
said finest capologist before. You know?
Out in his chest and walks over to the Arrisons, the family that for 35 years has owned the Miami Heat. Just pound his chest. Then runs in front of the Heat bench, eyeballing everybody. An eyeball that Tyler Hero shot out the other night. And then goes over and almost crushed the soul and bone marrow of his head coach in celebration of this regular season game winner.
Well, you know,
payback's the only way back. Well, that's how we get down.
Here's the thing: like, once you've covered a team that has won a championship before,
3 of them, yes,
yeah. Well, for you guys, very, very blessed, right? And you have seen the best players play at the highest levels,
right?
There's a different level of excitement that you get to see for that versus teams that, you know, like New York, they have had championships, but a long time ago.
Was 2, I'll be 51.
Wow. Congratulations.
In May, yes.
Well, yeah, okay. You know what? In that stretch, you talked about how Miami has had this knack for winning a lot of close games. Yeah. I mean, they have a knack for getting into close games.
Getting in, losing the most, and winning the most, and having the most. Yes.
Right. But what is it about Miami? Like, what is this ability for them to get into close games? Because even if you look at point differential, for example, the Raptors, who are several games below Miami right now, actually have a better point differential. But in close games, the Raptors have an issue where they sort of stumble in the fourth quarters. What is it about Miami in the fourth quarter that you guys are able to make that extra push?
The analyst.
Jimmy Butler.
Is that it? Is that just it?
Tyler Hero. No, you know what?
They are some of the best.
Yeah, we do have a couple of the best. And really, I mean, so many times at the beginning of this season, when he was playing, just watching Jimmy Butler win games and just it's crazy and it's incredible to see. But I would lean into this as well, which I know you guys are familiar with too. 10 undrafted players at the beginning of the season on the opening night roster for the Miami Heat. The culture is to like sit down and get it done and like work really hard and not give up. These are guys that have had to believe in themselves. Like they've had to stick with it. So when you take elite talent and then of course Spo's an incredible coach, and then you have that extra little chip on your shoulder too. And now we hear it often. This is the normal. Like playing in tight games is kind of the norm for this team. And I think there have been a couple late game situations as of late where you kind of just see that. Like there's no panic. Tyler Hero in the fourth quarter as of late, to me, I'm just like, if you watch his body language at the beginning of the game and at the end of the game, it doesn't change. He's like, I'm trying to think of like cool as a cucumber. Like he literally, and he'll take every shot. And so he's hit some big ones. Then we had Bam playing, like he's an all-star this year.
Yep. What
he's been able to do, and he's the third leading paint scorer in the league behind Giannis and Jokic, and has a totally different game to him. There's just some automatic guys, you know, and then, but I do think it goes back to this it's just like a put on your hard hat, pack your lunch bag, and go to work. And that's the kind of ball I love the most. So
I love when you speak Canadian, by the way.
What did I say?
A lunch bag.
Did I say that?
Yeah.
I meant lunch pail.
Oh, I thought that was
What do you
something
call
unique.
it?
No, lunchbox, but pail works.
Do people still bring lunchboxes to the office? This is a
Listen. Depends on your contract situation.
I guess you're right.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, some young people, climbing up the ladder. That's the deal.
Yeah.
Spo uses the phrase sick at sea. Does someone get a little queasy when the water is rough?
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't have cats that are sick at sea, you get what we get oftentimes at the ends of games. This team hates losing. I mean, like they get
right.
I mean, like grouchy.
Hey, listen to Nickelback. I'm just kidding.
We'll get to that. Actually,
That was cold.
We got to get to that.
That was,
Go ahead,
that was
sorry.
Canadian
I just said,
crime.
that's how
No,
much.
I was just saying that's the thing. No, it's just I should walk around doing Spoisms all the time.
Yeah.
I know them all.
You should start a t-shirt.
There's a
line.
gnarly bunch, as he likes to say.
Gnarly bunch.
Gnarly
Yes.
bunch, which sounds Canadian.
It is okay. So is this the heat culture that people talk about? Is this sort
Did
of?
you just roll your eyes when you said it?
No. Here's the thing.
Some people don't like when we get all up.
No. Here's the thing. For people who aren't, Heat fans who aren't from Miami, you wouldn't really understand this. So I'm asking somebody who's like true-blooded Miami Heat. What is heat culture, and why do you guys talk about it so much, and how does it show up?
So I'm going to tell you a story. I'm going to tell you the story backwards,
Okay, yeah,
and
go
then I'll
ahead.
tell you what it is.
I like it. Okay.
About 10 years ago, are you familiar with the color scape the Pantone colors? Like if you
Sure.
pick a color
Yeah,
to
yeah.
go paint, it's like Pantone 385.
Yeah.
Right? We changed the color of heat red to blood red,
All right.
which was 3 Pantone colors
Mm,
away from the red that it had been for, let's say it was 25 years.
sure.
That's the kind of crazy stuff we do. Because if you're a heat, you bleed heat.
Okay.
So it should be blood red, right? I mean, there was a meeting at the highest levels for that. I tell you that story only because it's just simple. It's a way of being.
Mm,
Listen, people get paid. It's a wonderful lifestyle. It's a great career endeavor. If you can do
Of
this
course.
at any level, if you're on the floor, you're in the front office,
even doing this.
if
is-
you're observers,
Yeah.
right? Like it's so strong. But if you're worried, because it all comes, right? But if you're worried about money, if you're worried about minutes, and you're worried about the marquee, it's just not the place for you. That doesn't make Will bad,
Mm,
right?
mm,
It's just if you're coming in here,
right.
know we scream at each other. Know that you just get in the dirt. That these cats love, and we're about to talk about practice. They love just being in the gym.
Mm.
Like that's the type of player. When Amy rolled out how many undrafted players we have,
Yeah.
that's the type of person. Yes, we're going to have star players and have
Sure.
throughout
yeah,
the history of the team, but making decisions that ain't nothing wrong with the draft. That's how we got Bam and Tyler.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And Dwayne Wade, the greatest player in the history of the organization.
Yep.
And Glenn Rice, one of the first stars of the team ever, right?
Mhm.
But look at the history. There's a lot of trades, a lot of free agent signings, even more dudes that we've developed before there was even a G League.
Yeah.
And can I just add one more to that?
Sure.
This guy right here.
Oh, there
Oh,
she
you
is.
You want to talk
100%
about?
real.
Well, think that goes to the culture of it,
the
though.
whole
I
thing.
mean, he
Yeah,
is
yeah.
just the third player in the history of the league, along with Dirk and Kobe, to have played 20 seasons with one organization, and
Right.
he is from right in Miami, and
Yeah. The mean streets.
I just, for me, coming right in, like you want to talk about taking care of your own, and like he has so much value, and he holds such a big voice. And I think in professional sports that gets lost a little because we can talk about the business and all that stuff, right? But that stuff's important,
Yeah.
and so it's hard. I can only imagine to really get that ingrained and then hold it there.
Mhm.
But they do.
Well, that was the thing too, because I think no matter if people think it's a little bit silly or people think it's a little bit played up, like the reality of the situation is, like, I would say 80% of professional sports teams don't have a culture, don't have that kind of work ethic, don't have
Fire
that kind of, like,
coaches,
yeah.
get rid of play.
It's just- they just move on. And they like, well, the next coach will deliver
different.
results, or the next GM will deliver results, or the next star player will deliver, or this new guy will
But
come.
Will, let's look around the league, right?
Yeah.
Where's the stability?
Yeah.
That's where there are championships.
Okay, all right. That S was a little loud here, you know what I mean?
But I'm not even. I'm not mocking or mimicking. I'm glad that you do.
Yeah.
And it's hard. It's the hardest thing to do.
I agree. Yeah.
And as you realize now, the harder thing is to do it again.
Yeah, that's fair.
You
that's
know,
fair.
but when you look at Golden State, right? Take a look at Miami. Take a look at San Antonio. Your last 20 years
Yep.
of NBA championships are in places where ownership, governorship now, head coach, general manager, stability. Stability, because it's a we do it this way. You can stay if you understand how to do this.
That's fair.
Otherwise, deuces.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean,
I learn something every time, Jax. I learn something every time.
That's fair. All right, I wanted to pivot the conversation a little bit to Kyle Lowry, who's
you all
always
don't do commercials up here, huh?
Huh?
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at this clock.
No. We're going to.
Will's got to go to break.
No.
What is?
We're going to break at we're going to break at like 2:28.
You just got. I see
Earliest.
big sponsors. I get it.
Earliest.
Probably got like Cadillacs and clothes and
absolutely all of
Gucci.
that.
oh.
Where's our Gucci date, Alex?
Sure.
I didn't forget about that.
on.
Look at that man.
I'm
saying
like,
the
man, back in the
backwards.
States, I'm like, come on, I got to call Sirius XM and be like, we need to change the clock.
This is why we got you water before.
That's what I'm
man.
talking about.
This was
I
what
love
Sports
this.
Talk Radio is all
I
about.
apologize.
No. Listen.
Didn't mean to interrupt.
Every time, obviously, Miami comes to town, it's special now because Kyle's here, right? And Kyle's home. I wanted to check in with how Kyle's doing because right now I see he's coming off the bench. I do see Heat Twitter can, get on guys a little bit. You know what I mean? I do see that the love for Kyle isn't as fervent as it is in Miami as it is in Toronto. So I just wanted to check in. How is Kyle doing? Amy, I'll start with you.
Well, I think he's doing a lot better since those 15 games. He took off. Well, they didn't take off. He was banged up and really wasn't pushing to come back because they had to make sure in himself that he's fully ready to return. But you all know, and Jax knows, I love Kyle. I'm such a fan. Kyle to me is just
Raptor of all time.
He's going to start
She
this.
keeps with this thing like Vince Carter doesn't exist.
I didn't say that.
Like there was
No,
nothing before
No,
the championship.
Vince Carter. No,
We'll
I'm
talk
not
about
saying
this.
that. I know, like he's opening up. We
don't play
seriously have this
hockey
chat
anymore
all the
in
time.
Canada.
But I think Kyle is he's QB1.
Yeah.
And when you talk about these late game situations, and Gabe Vincent's done a tremendous job starting and stepping in and different game. But also what I love about Kyle is we saw him kind of mentor Fred VanVleet.
Yeah.
And I'm seeing Kyle kind of leave his imprint on other guys, especially when they want to get the ball in quick and they're going like this to the ref.
Yeah.
Like that's a Kyle thing. And every time I see that, like I get a little like, oh, there he is. He's out there.
Vincent,
But I think when you talk about these tight games and just in terms of managing a ball game, and he hit a couple big shots. Like, was it against the Knicks? I think it was last week or.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I just think any team's just so much more valuable when he's out there because he can manage the game. And by the way, he's playing alongside Tyler Hero, Jimmy Butler.
Yeah.
Strus was hot the other night.
Bam.
There's a sense of just, to me, calmness when he's out there because of his resume and who he is as a player. Kyle doesn't like to lose games.
Look at her face. Look at her face.
Because I'm
he's
such
the GOAT.
because I'm
That's why. He's the greatest
Yes.
Raptor.
You
Yeah,
Thank
the
you.
worst
Up
sound.
top,
man.
you
The
don't
worst sound.
understand.
But come
Jax
on.
wanted to roam the streets of Toronto today and
I
ask
know we
people,
don't have
and I
TV
was
today,
like,
so we didn't do the feature. But I wanted to just go, person on the street,
Yeah.
random,
Yeah.
greatest Raptor ever.
They're gonna tell you Kyle, man. I'm telling you, they're gonna
listen,
tell you Kyle.
at the beginning of the
Recency
year, at
bias
the beginning
out
of
of
the
you all.
season for the Heat,
honestly, when you talk about culture, man, there wasn't Raptors. There was no culture. There was like negative culture in Toronto before Kyle Lowry started playing here.
I know. I did.
There are more Canadians
Uh-huh.
playing in the National Basketball Association. That's who we should ask, by the way,
Yeah.
because of Vince Carter's explosion here while they were children.
Yes,
Yeah.
you're right.
That wasn't Kyle. That wasn't 2019. That's the beginning, and that man jumping out of every building in this association and then playing in this league for over 20 years.
Yes, you're talking about maybe the greatest basketball player that played for the Raptors, but to me, that's not the greatest Raptor of all time. It's a different conversation.
The hatred
but the one
you all
thing,
have for Vince
no,
Carter.
I love
it's not
Vince.
hatred.
Are you
It's hate.
kidding me?
It's
It
straight
is not.
hate.
Listen,
Straight hate.
I grew some of my best memories
I'm gonna
with
turn
my
it into
with my
Stephen A.
dad.
of
We're
Canada
coming
right
in
now.
I'm chilling.
and
I'm
watching
Molly. I'm just gonna
Vince
step
Carter with Tracy McGrady. Like those were my days. So like I love Vince Carter, but I'm just saying if you're gonna ask,
The
because
nation
Jax,
changed.
you play to win
Amy?
championships. You play to win. the nation has changed again. The nation has changed again, and since they won a championship.
Not take anything away from those who created.
I know.
Not cats that are coming in and expanding. I give Kyle credit. He's a champion. I love that.
Yeah.
But he's not the greatest player in the history of the Raptors.
Alex.
I don't know, man. Here's the thing. He's done the most, and he's
top 3. No
top
question.
3. You're not even giving him top 2.
And can I wait?
Who's 2 then? Who's
Alvin Williams?
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
Just ask Kyle.
Alvin.
Just ask Kyle.
Just Alvin, man.
Just
Can I also?
ask Kyle
yeah,
Lowry.
I
That's
know.
Kyle's
they
OG.
did. I just want to make the point too. At the beginning of this season, in
Yeah.
year 17, just turned 37, but was 36. He was top 4. I think it was top 4 in the league in minutes per game.
Sounds about right.
Because
Well, that's what
Jimmy was.
got him
That's
into
why.
space right now.
And that's why I'm saying, because Jimmy was banged up. Tyler was banged up. Like, he had to play, I think it was 37 minutes a game, and he just did it. He just went out. Remember in Washington, he started with some two-ways, like in an overtime game.
Yeah.
And that kind of toughness, and it shouldn't go underrated, but it is. And that's why he kind of got into that position where middle to probably 3/4 through the season he was. And so it's just, like I think we're better
second
when he's on the
greatest
court.
point guard in Heat history. How about I give you that already?
No.
Behind Tim
really?
Jr. Right? In the sense of resume?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, some Heat fans are going to get hot.
Well,
They
just
want-
so you know,
it's Mario
I
Chalmers
have
for
to
them,
do this like
Yeah.
3 nights a week,
No.
maybe 4. Like this
Oh,
is
easily.
my life.
Oh,
Like
I
this
know.
is it right
Oh, I
now.
know.
One night we started arguing on the air
Yeah.
about the intent of a player.
Yeah.
The intent.
Okay.
But we were, listen, 6 years of friendship
Yeah.
before being on the air every day. You first of all realize when you visit with someone quarterly
Uh-huh.
and then you start working with them every day, it's a different endurance
Yeah. Of
that
course.
you have to have. But I love this woman. I love her family. No, I'm dead serious. It is the first time in my career where, first of all, I felt heard from a staffing standpoint. I usually don't get involved. I just show up for auditions and boom, boom, boom. When Ruth Hunter was elevated into our front office and was coming off our broadcast team, I called our vice president of broadcasting and I said, I'm going to give you 3 names because I know how you are, but there's only one person to hire.
Right.
It
So nice.
is time. That's my little line. But it was not only the international incident of ripping her from Raptors television
You know what?
was so joyous.
We didn't have to bring that up.
It was so joyous.
It was not joyous for me.
There's nothing in the history of these two great nations and their shared border more controversial than Audibert throwing up the deuce sign. People today, the straight, just heat and hate radiating.
No.
Oh, it was nuts.
No.
She was called a traitor.
No. Who did that?
We're not going to name names.
Yeah, we should though.
But you know what we don't do?
Yeah.
In the mean streets of paradise, we don't do you like that.
Yeah.
You're in, you're in. That's part.
No,
that's
I like
culture.
this. I mean, I know she already went to school there, obviously based on the jacket and everything. But like, no, you guys are really, taking her in and made it home, and
Quickly. But she did that.
Yeah.
I mean, the beautiful thing is she is a television star. That's
Yeah.
number one.
Oh,
so,
of course. Yeah,
like
everyone
a
knew that.
legit star, which is tough to do when you're sitting next to a legit star.
Hey.
So I give her credit right there. The analysis, being able to be a game analyst, though, right, that is endurance on top of you're constantly teaching. And as I told her when she showed up, this is about you. I'll get the listener, because for those who don't know, we do television pre and post and radio, we call the game. I'll get the listener where they need to be. They can't see it. I'll get them there. You teach them.
Right.
You guide them. And then I'll give them the hot sauce.
No, the formula's working. No, I mean
That's awesome.
the way
literally, we're the best broadcast team in the league.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, well, the way you guys have welcomed
Just
Amy
tell her.
is amazing.
This is how it is.
All right, so you guys can welcome Canadian talent. So
Yeah.
why haven't you done it for Kyle? What's going on? Why do I see Kyle slander all
What
the
is-
time?
No, first
from
of all,
Miami players.
First of all,
not players. Sorry, the fans.
Yeah,
Why are
what
people
is
upset?
what is fans short for?
Fanatics? We know.
Okay,
We know.
so done. I'm done.
all right.
I love. Listen, Heat Nation is something, right? And they're super kind to me, but every now and then
Yeah.
they'll be like, "Jax,
Every now and
toss
then.
in a salad, baby." I mean, they'll hit me.
Yeah. Okay.
And I'm
you
supposed
know
to be
what?
beloved. I'm supposed to be Teflon Don, man. They're like, hey, son, get a little jolly. I'm like, mind your business. It's not summertime. I sweat. I drop some LBs.
All right.
You know, in the middle of the winter.
Oh my gosh.
This is winter
Jesse,
weight
what
I'm
is
working on
happening
right now.
Is
You
it
know,
winter
but I'm
in
saying,
Miami? Yeah.
yeah, no,
Yeah.
it's
I was gonna
beautiful.
say.
I'm just noting that Kyle is not going to be exempt.
Fair.
We
Okay,
all
fair,
catch
fair.
it from Heat Twitter.
Gotcha,
That's just
gotcha.
going to do it.
Yeah.
They've been very
Stop,
good to you.
Stop. Don't even start that.
They don't even know that you're 6'8". They have
No,
no
man.
idea that she's 6'10". It is unbelievable that a 6'11" basketball star from the University of Miami
That's like a KG
It's
6'11".
not-
That's a real 7-footer right
exactly
there. Yeah.
is not. It's so fun.
All right, that's fair. All right, last question. I gotta ask about this.
What?
Um,
Well,
what, so,
what's up?
so Jimmy Butler was singing Nickelback? What's going on? Is this like
no,
a regular
so
thing?
Jimmy has a speaker, and in post game,
Yeah.
he likes to mess with the gathered media
Okay,
because
got you,
obviously
got
we're
you.
trying to. The beat reporters are trying to record, and obviously the radio folks, that's only audio. And
Yeah,
then
yeah.
television, we still need audio.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so he likes to just blare it till the last second.
Real.
Like he knows that we need that stuff off. But we're in Orlando, and Orlando's giving us our lunch every time. And I mean, we beat them once, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. And we're going to beat them again next Sunday.
Yeah.
Easter Sunday is going to be a resurrection.
Final,
Oh, okay.
final game
On
of
a
the regular
601
season.
biscuit. We're going to need that, by
and
the
you
way.
overcome both Wagners.
And so,
We'll see.
yeah,
We'll
the
see, man.
brothers Wagner. And yeah, he was not happy.
Uh-huh.
And so his release was Nickelback.
Right. Got you.
I mean, and it just cranked. And no, he only sings along with the country tunes. If he's playing some hip hop or if he's playing, what do they call it? Butt rock? Is that the terminology for?
What is the terminology? What?
You've never heard of that?
No, man.
No,
Yeah.
no.
Unfortunately, I don't listen to this.
No.
Yeah, butt
Yeah.
rock.
Got you.
Because it's
No.
terrible. Because I think that's the insinuation. I'm not a
mean-
rock and roll guy. I don't have a.
Again, you're
Nickelback seems
in
fine.
Canada, man.
I feel like Nickelback is fine. They play, you know,
They're fine, yeah.
decent chord projections and
They take it. They have a bad rap, but
and, like you can't make out any lyric. I mean, like it's
I like-
perfectly fine.
I don't mind like their hits. Nickelback has some hits.
I don't get why everybody's down on Nickelback.
Me neither.
And I don't know
No,
why
it-
Jimmy played it that night.
It
I
just became a meme. You
just
know?
does, yeah.
Some things become memes. You
Yeah.
know? Well, this is great.
Audi Bizzle.
Wait,
We
before
didn't
you
talk
wrap,
about-
let
yeah,
me
what's
just
up?
really quick say congrats to Tim and Friends. I
Oh,
saw
yeah,
that they're
absolutely,
coming to
yeah.
a wrap, and that show's awesome. And Tim's incredible. So
Yes.
congrats, Tim.
Had
and
both of us
looking
many
forward
times.
to see what
I love
what's up next.
how-
My fellow Maltese, we're very passionate people, so we stick together.
like the Falcons.
All right.
Yeah, there's not too many of us. Sorry, I just wanted to make sure I got that in because I saw it.
Canadian congeniality.
It is.
It's the best. You guys are the
Class
best
act.
people
Jimmy
on
Audibert.
earth.
Thank
You
you.
really are.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
No doubt.
All right. Well,
Stand on guard for thee, baby.
we're about to hear that tonight.
It's his favorite. He
my
sings the
favorite
anthem all the
anthem.
time.
You sing the
on the
anthem
planet.
too?
Bro,
Yeah.
I mean,
You got a great voice. I could
Skills.
I could definitely see
Oh,
you
he's a
singing the
music
anthem.
guy.
Yeah.
He was like band camp, like
Really?
in college. That was his thing.
I did not play the
Man.
flute, though.
Well, what was it?
That was
I
for
always
people who
forget.
love the movie. That's all I was. I'm a
Okay.
percussionist, madam.
Okay.
Okay,
He's a
that's,
music
that's
guy.
cool. That is the coolest part of the band.
It is. The drum line.
Yeah,
Come
of
on,
course, man.
We
Oh,
are
yeah.
so nasty.
Unfortunately, I did play the flute, so I'm
Did
just
you
gonna,
really?
I'm gonna rap on that. Man.
There's one time in band camp, what'd you do with it? Well, what'd you do with your flute?
Hey man, at least I was a lead flutist. Okay?
There you
I
go.
got my solos, all right.
Flautist,
You know what I
isn't it?
mean?
It's flautist.
Yeah, if he's flautist, you know, it is what it is.
Diddly, diddly,
Well, you better
diddly,
stop because he's gonna get you
diddly,
fired
diddly, diddly,
right now.
All
I'm the
right,
original black sheep, baby.
Amy, welcome home. All right, Jason, I appreciate
sir.
you coming through, and
Great to be here.
yeah, we're gonna take that break. I've been your host Will Lou, and you've been listening to the Raptors Show on the Sportsnet Radio Network. Welcome back to the Raptors Show on the Sportsnet Radio Network. I'm your host, Wing Lu. For the second segment, I'm joined by producer and co-host Alex Wong. What's going on, Alex?
What's good?
The mild to Jason spicy, man. What's going on?
Yeah, I thought I was spicy, but
You're not spicy.
I guess
your whole persona is you don't ask for spicy. So
yeah, I'm literally just gonna go to Zayzoons with Vivek Jacob and say no spicy.
I don't think that's even possible at shawarma. No one's ever said no spicy at shawarma.
That don't make no sense.
No, you don't understand. I roll differently. Did you know the Pantone color of the year this year was Viva Magenta?
Why is there so much color talk on this program today?
I don't know, but I'm just letting you know. There's a color of the year every year, so
Viva Magenta. Okay.
Maybe next time you go shopping and get a magenta.
This kind of looks like what the Heat colors used to be before they turned it to the
blood
color
red.
Of blood. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
They're changing it like San Pellegrino can colors, man. Yeah, Heat culture you guys talked about in the first segment.
I asked one question about Heat culture.
Are you in on Heat culture?
You know what I'm in on? I'm in on teams having culture. I'm sick of teams not having culture. So actually, when I see your team, like it does obviously like Heat culture is just one type of it, but like if your team comes in and there's no culture, you know what I mean? Like what does it mean to me? You know what I mean? What does it mean to the fans?
Can I run through the Eastern Conference real quickly right now through the teams?
Okay.
And I want to hear your brief description. No, I just want to hear a brief description of what you think culture is. So let's start at the top of standings. What to you is Bucks culture?
Bucks culture is get on Giannis's back.
Okay.
And Giannis is going to work as hard as possible. So and he's the nicest superstar ever.
Okay, so follow the nicest superstar.
Yeah.
What's Celtics culture?
Celtics culture is like, come on, we don't need to. That one's very easy, right?
Yeah.
You know, all those rings, the banners, 18 of them.
No, man, but those banners are in black and white, man.
It doesn't even matter, man. Like honestly, that's the.
They
culture.
have won championship since 1986.
There's an expectation that you're going to put the next banner, and you're going to be the next number to be retired. So there's only going to be like 20 numbers left.
So you're talking their culture is like
it's championship
legacy.
It really is. Yeah, it's legacy. Yeah, legacy culture.
Sixers culture.
Choking.
Oh God.
No,
right.
What is Sixers culture? Fans throwing batteries on the field.
Yeah, that's fair.
You have people
Sad guy Joel
is part of that culture. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like losing, taking huge L's.
So losing culture.
Yeah,
losing.
Unfortunately, that's the case, man.
Cavs culture.
I mean, they don't have one. They had LeBron.
Okay.
They had LeBron culture.
They really have Bron culture.
They have Bron culture, and then they.
You like it? You think Cleveland's cool? I mean, I never heard anybody say I'm going to Cleveland on vacation.
Did he lose that series, by the way? I'm pretty sure he did.
I don't did the Bulls ever beat the Cavs?
I don't think
during
they did.
that period in the playoffs.
I don't think they did.
Yeah, so I think he lost that one.
Fair.
That was Joakim Noah, right?
Yeah, it was Joakim
Okay.
Noah.
Knicks culture, facial recognition and surveillance.
Honestly, you know what it is? Like Bing Bong. It's Bing Bong right now, but ultimately the Knicks culture is like fans owning up to the hilarity of how sad the franchise is.
Okay, so
you know what I mean?
So like
being
embracing
funny
that.
about being sad.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is kind of what Raptors culture was pre-championship. I want to say.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Very
okay,
similar. Nets culture,
There
just
is-
Joe. It's Joe Size
no culture,
checkbook.
man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Joe Size
It's
checkbook.
Joe Size checkbook. Before that, it was Mikhail Prokhorov's checkbook.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
Man, they really went back
There's
to
no
back.
culture there. That's not even slander. There's no culture.
Yeah, they're billionaire
the
boys
culture
club.
died in the Izod Center.
They should they should get sponsored by BBC, man. We talked about Heat culture.
Heat culture, obviously.
Heat culture, by the way, is basically I push this like it's immigrant culture. You
Okay.
don't worry about the little things. You get in the gym, you work hard.
You work regardless of your pay. Yeah, fair.
You don't. Yeah, and their head coach is Asian.
I see no lies.
Yeah, so things line up there.
People
for
yell
me.
at each other.
Yeah, Hawks culture.
Again, another team with no culture.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it
So
actually
NA,
bothers me.
NA on Hawks culture. But I
Yeah.
think you made a good point, though. As you go down the list in the standings, the teams without the culture, there's might be a reason why they're there.
Sure.
Or they have been there,
Yeah.
right? Bulls culture.
Bulls is like
It's
similar
Patrick
to
Beverly right now.
Well, right now, yeah, legit.
Yeah.
But again, like I think needs to be somebody in the room, whether that's a player, whether that's like a coach, whether that's
Yeah.
a GM, was somebody that stirs the pot, makes people care. Like there's you could so easily slip into not caring, right? Your contracts are completely guaranteed. And no matter how you play the game, even if you get blown out, someone's still gonna have amazing numbers at the end of it.
Right.
Right? Those numbers have to fall on someone's ledger, right? So you could easily slip into not caring. What is it about like specific teams that care year after year, fight possession after possession, and have a culture of earning everything along the way?
But that's the Heat. That's really the Heat, though. In a way.
Sure, yeah, you could say that's the Heat. I actually don't disagree.
Yeah.
But I think that was the Raptors too.
Yes.
And that should be the Raptors
Well,
now.
the key word is it was. That is the key word.
I mean, I think people still work hard.
Okay. Well, they're being told to. Lots of practices.
Fair.
Let's go through these last teams. This is gonna be so funny.
Washington culture.
What's Wiz culture?
Wizards culture. Never winning 50 games. Never going past the second round.
Yeah.
Bro, they
It's just
won.
mediocrity.
The last time they won 50 games, they were the Bullets.
Yeah. They've literally retro those jerseys like 4 times since the last time.
Yeah.
All right. Pacers culture.
Again, that's another irrelevant franchise. No offense.
Okay. Magic culture. I feel like there's some culture
Irrelevant.
bubbling. You don't think
There's
so?
no culture bubbling, man.
Little
What's the culture? Wagner
Yeah,
culture?
sorry, I was trying to come up with
There's no
something.
culture there.
Hornets culture. That's the parking lot. That's where LaMelo
Again,
makes a sharp right and goes 120 in a 50. He basically goes whatever Jay-Z got pulled over for in 99 Problems.
no, he sees the speed limit and he doubles it.
Yeah.
He sees the speed limit as a suggestion.
Hey, how about Pistons culture?
Again, another team that has no culture. They used to have culture. They
No.
absolutely used to have culture, right?
Okay.
Like when I first started watching the league, like the Pistons were in contention year after year.
Right.
First or second seed, played great defense, gritty.
Yeah.
There was no star player. Everyone sort of played in the team concept,
Mm.
and they were tough as nails to get through.
Yeah.
And then eventually that culture faded away. And of course, since then, they've
Yeah.
had no culture.
Dwayne didn't bring The Rock over to Detroit, right?
What do you think he is, man? Dwayne The Rock Johnson?
Yo. Yo, I'm really like, did he bring Dwayne Johnson?
you think Dwayne Casey walked into the
He
room,
drove it
looked
past
at Andre
Windsor.
Drummond, and he's like, "Do you smell what the Rock is cooking, man? We pounded that rock." No,
This guy
man, that didn't happen. That didn't happen.
This guy moving around
That
like
didn't
Pac.
happen, man.
Oh, okay. Should we do this for the West or shall we move on?
No, I mean, I think people get the point. Though,
Okay,
right?
people get the point.
Yeah. So
What about
culture
Raptors?
actually is important.
What about Raptors
I think
culture?
Raptors culture was genuinely there, right?
Yeah.
Guys who, again, very similar.
Yeah.
It was guys who worked really hard, guys who earned their stripes, right? Everyone
Yeah.
talked about how the Raptors are a great development franchise. The Raptors use the G League productively. Everyone sort of earns their way,
yeah.
and they expect to win, right? Even walk in, like when you see the big board, it says in like size 250 font, win in 3
Yeah.
letters. You know what I mean? I don't think it's maybe as pervasive as like Heat culture is, for example. But to be honest, Raptors haven't accomplished nearly as much as the Heat have.
Yeah, I think
So-
that's the disappointing part looking at this season too. It's like you always look at this Raptors team, especially championship and you know the post-championship season. It's like the sum's greater than, you know, its parts type beat. And we haven't seen that this year. And I think that's a big thing heading into the offseason looking at the core group. Like,
I
what
got
is
you.
the culture? What is the culture? Front office, head coaching, roster, all of it.
Okay, so Raptors signed Udonis Haslem then.
He's retiring. If
I mean,
the biggest news, if the biggest Woj alert
okay,
this
I'm
summer
just kidding, guys.
is Raptors
sorry.
have talked Udonis Haslem out of retirement.
Jason hypnotized me for the 30 minutes of the first segment. So,
You know what? The way they talk about Heat culture, we need some of that here. Yeah.
so you want me to go on opposing podcasts and talk about Raptors culture? I will do it. I'll do it. I'll
Yeah.
do it.
I mean, it's propaganda.
Yeah, that's part of the culture. It's
Yeah.
propaganda.
No.
Yeah.
Anyways, what else would you like to talk about?
What else do I want to talk about? So, so we have in the subject here. So, on the topic of leadership, right? So there was a report out there that I saw from Steve Bulpett, who was a longtime Celtics beat writer, now at Heavy Sports, which just learned about that website through this report. But regardless,
Shouts to
I definitely
Heavy.
recognize Steve's name, though. I mean, he's been working in that Celtics area for a long time. And he brought along this report. One league executive stated that Udoka, suspended from the season by the Celtics for violations of team policy, would be of interest to the Raptors. There is word that the Rockets would have interest in Nurse if he is available and if they choose to part way with Steven Silas. I don't know if choose. I think they will mercifully let Steven Silas
Yeah, I feel
go.
like that's like an open secret type thing that they're going to move on from him.
He's, by the way, in contention for the most miserable looking coach.
I feel
Every time
bad.
I don't think I've ever seen this man smile. Like, ever.
No, I feel, well, would you smile? There's nothing to smile about.
actually-
Can't even break a press.
There was one time I saw them smile. Do you remember this? So this is during the nadir of Raptors Tampa, where they had that team that was so banged up and so sick, really, at that time. They played host to the Houston Rockets. And I'm pretty sure Houston was on an 18-game losing streak.
Yeah, not
And I think
surprised,
they
yeah.
beat us. And I think that's when I saw Steven Silas smile.
Yeah.
That's the one time.
Wow, he's been coaching since the Tampa season?
Anyway, so in the latter case, Houston will also have interest to look into Udoka. This is from Steve Ballmer.
Interesting.
I think the interesting thing for me is just like, what is it? Like, how do you make a decision on Nick moving forward? Because I don't think it's accurate to say, I don't think it's fair to say that the faults of this season entirely rest on Nick. I don't think that's true, and I wouldn't back that at all. But at the same time, when you disappoint in a season where you look at the roster and you look at the situation, you say, clearly you can get more out of it. We saw it last year, right? With a roster that wasn't as experienced and wasn't as good as this year's roster, considering they've upgraded clearly at center with Jakob. When you see that difference in the results, obviously the natural thing is to look at the coach. I think that was a large part of what David Thorpe, when we had him on, and also on his podcast, the True Hoop Pod, where he discussed it, right? In these types of situations, you kind of look to change the coach. For example, in Atlanta, another situation where you're like, look, the talent on paper is good. They've been to a conference finals before with that roster. They've been playoff team with that roster. Why are they so disappointed this year? They fired the coach, right? Yeah. So I wouldn't think it's unnatural to look at it. But I think from Nick's perspective, too, it's like, well, he's coming up on a situation where next year is the final year of his deal, right? So the Raptors probably need to offer him an extension of some kind this summer to sort of, because coaches very rarely go into the last year of their deal as sort of that lame duck sort of expiring kind of situation. So I don't know. I want to open up that conversation first and foremost. We'll put aside the Udoka stuff for now because I really don't even want to get into all those details.
Yeah. No, I think this is interesting, especially like you mentioned, Nick, by all accounts, you look at his track record winning the championship, you would say that's the most successful head coach that this franchise has had. And, I think he clearly has, deserved to not have to go into next season as a lame duck going into his last year. And when you're evaluating Nick, I do agree with you. On the one hand, you can say that like it is hard at times to evaluate how Nick has been as a head coach these last couple of years because of just the roster that he's been given, right? Like we've seen what Nick can do with a championship roster, which was on a 1-year window in retrospect because, Kawhi didn't like Toronto, and what he was able to do with a winning team. But at the same time, though, I do think the Raptors are no different from any other organization. When you've been through this period now of a few down seasons and when the roster has turned over, I don't think this takes away. I don't think Nick has suddenly become a bad, coach from the championship season. But at the same time, I would ask, is he the right coach moving forward with the core group that you're moving forward with? Yeah. And that core group starts, if you're looking long-term, with Scottie, right? Like, you can talk about Fred, talk about Pascal and their future here. Like, at the end of the day, aside from the X's and O's, there's also, I think, a people aspect to it. And so many times we see coaches...
It's about the Jimmys and Joes?
Yeah, but it's about the Jimmy Butlers and the Joe Wieskamps. But at the end of the day, you mentioned the Atlanta situation, right? Like, did Nate McMillan just suddenly become a bad coach? Because he was the same coach that led them, if you whatever credit you want to give them to that conference finals run, right?
Yeah.
And how is it that this year there was reports at the start of the season that he literally was considering resigning? Like, he just leaked this report to Shams that the situation had gotten so bad with Trae Young that he just did not want to be the coach anymore, right? So a lot of times, what I'm trying to say is a lot of times these decisions is more beyond just saying whether Nick is a good coach or not. It's just, is he the right coach? Is he meshing with these players? And is he meshing with these players moving forward?
Yeah. I mean, look, listen, the idea of coaching is so intangible that it is very difficult to definitively say this guy's the problem or this guy's not the problem. Realistically, it's a circumstance thing, it's a politics thing. It's also just a preference thing, right? Because again, it's not tangible in the results. You don't see stats for coaches other than wins and losses. And if we're going off wins and losses, obviously this year's been down, but on the whole, Nick has done a good job. I think from my assessment of the situation is when Nick first got hired as head coach, he brought in a lot of great ideas. And I know they're great ideas because, one, they won a championship with those ideas.
This is Nicky Nurse, baby.
It's Nicky Nurse, baby. And second thing, a lot of other teams started copying those ideas.
Yeah, and number 3, Kawhi lit up like a Christmas tree the first time that they met.
He probably was
drawing up plays.
He probably drew a box.
This was widely reported.
And he drew a 1. And then he's like, this is how we're going to be Steph Curry in the finals. You know how legendary that is? How many other coaching strategies can you even name that won championships?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
He pulled out like a middle school, grade school strategy in the finals.
So there's a
on
lot
the
of
best player.
out of the box thinking. And of course, eventually over time, it comes around. When all the players come in Toronto and they say, we know what's coming.
Yeah.
Right? Because the first time I remember when it happened to them, they didn't know what was coming. And it hit them and it shocked them. And it probably most times resulted in them losing. Right? Eventually, when you go around, when other coaches start doing it, when Steve Kerr, the coach that you beat in the finals, starts running box and one against you, they're like, oh, you want to run box and one against Steph Curry? We're running box and one against Fred. Right? When that advantage is taken away. So it's like, okay, the first set of ideas were really great, all things considered. What's the next set of ideas? Because that's how the league works. They're going to grow and adapt. Right? So if you're going to be one of those ideas people, can you constantly come up with those ideas? Not just once, not just twice, like over and over and over again. The other part of it is, and I think that this is one thing that coaches with a lot of longevity get to, like, what is your people managing skill?
Yeah.
Right? The Spurs lose all the time. The Spurs literally lose all the time. They'll blow huge double-digit leads all day, right? Every coach, every player that comes out of that system, the only guy I really can think of is DeJounte Murray.
Right. He did the podcast interview where he was talking about the culture wasn't the best there for him.
But like, for example, I interviewed Yak like earlier in the month, right? And, you know, Jakob was talking about, you could just tell his affection for Pop and that personal connection he built. It wasn't about the wins and losses. It was actually about, you know, again.
The Jimmies and Joes.
It was really about the Jimmies and Joes. And
where did that come from, by the way?
I have no idea. Okay. It's one of those like nonsense
I've only ever
statements.
heard you use it.
No, I think people said.
Did you pick this up on the street?
I did not pick this up on the street.
Okay,
although my whole life existence is ESL, so maybe I did. My point is, though, you got to be really, really good with handling the people aspect.
But
right? Can you get people to buy in? It doesn't necessarily matter what you're running if they don't run it hard.
Yeah.
It matters first and foremost if the players play hard, if they play focused, if they play coordinated, and if you're able to inspire them, reach them. And here's the thing. It's not binary, right? It's not that you can reach players or you can't reach players. It's obviously, as humans are, people come in and out of situations. The season's long. People get tired. People get injured. People have situations. They get disappointed. They get happy. Obviously, all that's going to affect us. Just because you're a coach doesn't mean you can, you know, control them. They're not puppets. But how consistently can you inspire that? How consistently can you build those bonds with people?
No, I
think that's the other aspect. That's the part where longevity for coaches, they have that element.
No, I think that's a
I
great,
think for strategy, again, you better be really brilliant. You bring fresh ideas every year, basically, every month, basically.
Yeah, no, I think that's a really great point because, like, you go back to talking about the Heat today. You look at Eric Spoelstra; he's one of the longest tenure coaches, and he has survived through the different eras, right? And you mentioned Greg Popovich. I think Steve Kerr is starting to enter that realm as well with how long he's been in Golden State.
Sure.
These people become, you go back to culture, these people become a part of what that organization is about, right? Like regardless of the turnover, like you mentioned, of the roster, the players, the playing style, all of that stuff, they're embedded in that organization. So I think this is a huge decision for the Raptors because Nick has been here. You know, you can even go back to before 2018 when he was announced as a head coach. Like, he has been here for like over a decade now, I believe. Like, or near a decade now. Like, as an assistant and then as a head coach, right?
Yeah, roughly 2013.
Yeah, so 2013. So we're like coming up like around a decade now. So he's been here. So I think this is a huge decision for the organization. And like, I remember Masai talking about last year that, you know, when there was rumors about the Lakers wanting to you know, talk to Nick.
Got you.
And, you know, he was talking, you know, he was like, yeah, I would, you know, everybody would love to have someone like Nick, essentially, right? And I think he made some soccer analogies.
No, his dream was, his statement was, the Lakers dream like I dream.
Yeah.
He literally said, you dream.
Yeah, exactly. So like, I do wonder, I don't know, like, has this season impacted that, how they view Nick? And honestly, the other thing, and we'll probably have to talk about this another time, is like, what does Nick want as well, right? Like, as much as
I think he wants to stay here.
Yeah,
Clearly,
as much as the Raptors,
huge connections with Canada basketball.
Yeah, but as much as the Raptors have to make a decision on Nick, like, you wonder too, like, is there frustration about how the roster has been built, et cetera, et cetera? Because at the end of the day, if you're a head coach of his caliber, you also want to be in a position where you can succeed as well, right? Because I'm sure Nick is not thrilled about the fact at some of the roster moves and how this team has been built, and it's led to the losing. Like, I'm sure in a perfect world, he doesn't want to play his starters 40 minutes a game in must-win games, or, you know, maybe he does actually. So
yeah,
no, right? So I think there's two sides, but I think there's a lot more to consider, like you mentioned, than just like, oh, X's and O's. Like, how does Nick rank there? Like, there's so many elements.
And here's the thing, realistically, like, obviously we come from an informed perspective, having, you know, followed the team, having talked to people around the team.
We're not inside.
Here's the thing, only people who are truly informed about this are the players themselves and also the front office. And that's the decision they got to make. Because again, next year, Nick will be on an expiring contract as a coach, and especially coaches with championships, they don't really do that. So you're going to have to make the decision this summer. But anyway, that's enough to talk about organizational culture and things like that. I've been your host, Walu, and you've been listening to The Raptors Show on the Sportsnet Radio Network. Make sure you find The Raptors Show wherever you listen to podcasts and subscribe, and please rate and review the show. Reminder, we're streaming live on Sportsnet's YouTube channel and airing live on Sportsnet 360 Monday to Friday from 2 to 3 p.m. Thanks once again to Amy Audibert and Jason Jackson, producer and co-host Alex Wong, our board producer Derek Vandale, and Jennifer Holnick for helping with the YouTube stream. We'll be back to talk to you tomorrow.